Watch these cocky teens crumble as judges drop the hammer. 1 minute they're smirking. The next, sheer panic. Life behind bars hits them like a truck. Some break down, others lash out. It's raw, it's real, and it's happening right now in courtrooms across America.
I've lost laughter and love. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon, I love my family.
We're having fun in a f***ing cop car.
Yep.
This is first case of Philip Chisholm, a teenager whose name became synonymous with a shocking crime that rocked Massachusetts in 2013. At just 14 years old, Chisholm brutally murdered his math teacher, Colleen Ritzer, at Danvers High School. On that fateful October day, Chisholm followed 24-year-old Ritzer into a school bathroom. There, he cruelly attacked her with a box cutter, strangled her, and violated her body. The young killer then wheeled her corpse out of the school in a recycling bin, eventually dumping her in nearby woods.
Body was found on May 9th.
Aiden was arrested and initially charged with second-degree murder. However, due to the severity of the crime, the charge was upgraded to first-degree murder, and he was tried as an adult. During the investigation, it was revealed that Aiden had talked about wanting to kill someone and had even planned the attack.
They went to school together at Patriot Oaks Academy. Both lived in an upper-middle-class neighborhood, pretty much had zero crime. But then we go to Mother's Day, May 9th, 2021, Bailey goes missing.
In February 2023, just before his trial began, Aiden changed his plea to guilty. This plea change shocked many, but it meant that Tristan's family wouldn't have to endure a lengthy trial. On March 24th, 2023, Aiden Fucci was sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole.
About this, I know there's been some discussion there. I also know, I'm going to read you something, a report from January 2020, a report from January 2022. It states, quote, Fucci was able to manipulate and extort inmates by
State Attorney R.J. Lariza prosecuted the case. The judge, R. Lee Smith, handed down the life sentence, stating that the crime was particularly criminal and that Aiden showed no mercy. That's an end to the story.
But Nicholas Lindsay showed little interest in the hearing.
There's no indication that this type of violent behavior will stop.
A U.S. Supreme Court ruling forced Judge Thane Covert to reconsider the original punishment of life in prison.
On number 3, we have this Nicholas Lindsay, a name that became infamous in St. Petersburg, Florida, when he was just 16 years old. Back in 2011, Lindsay committed a crime that would forever change his life and end another's. He shot and killed police officer David Crawford, a veteran with 25 years of service.
Had argued that this was a kid who had panicked, who had been persecuted and feared for his life because of where he grew up and where he lived, and responded by shooting the officer 5 times. Again, Nicholas Lindsay, guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Officer David Crawford from the St. Petersburg Police Department.
On that fateful night, Officer Crawford was responding to a call about a prowler in the neighborhood. He spotted Lindsay and tried to question him. Instead of cooperating, the teenager pulled out a gun and fired multiple times, killing Crawford on the spot. Lindsay then fled the scene, resulting in a massive search that ended with his arrest the next day. How could a kid so young commit such an act? Prosecutors painted Lindsay as a cold-blooded killer, while his defense team argued he was a scared child who made a terrible mistake.
Nicholas Lindsay's parents were the only 2 witnesses called by the defense. His father had hoped his own criminal past would discourage the teen from getting into trouble, but now Lindsay could spend the rest of his life in prison.
Do you believe he's responsible for shooting Officer Crawford?
Yes. Both say they knew their son was lying when he first told them he didn't shoot Officer David Crawford. They are credited with eventually getting him to confess.
He was scared. He was very sincere. I've never seen him cry like that before. He was just like a newborn baby. I mean, scared and almost in a fetal position. And he said that he did not want to die.
Okay.
He thought he was going to die.
The defense says Lindsay's first shot went off accidentally, and as Officer Crawford pulled his gun out, the teen panicked and fired more.
It's okay, buddy.
His parents say they believe he is sorry for what happened that night.
Apologize, all of us.
And did he also apologize to the detective that he was talking to about the fallen officer?
Yes.
The defense also tried to paint a picture of the kind of violence Lindsay dealt with every day. His mother talked about the constant threat he faced from neighborhood rivals.
They said they were going to get him wherever they saw him at.
She also said gunfire in their Bethel Heights neighborhood was common, and she's had to teach all her kids how to deal with it.
Any part of the room they're in, they know.
Making his decision. And let's wrap up.
Sat in court smiling and nearly laughing as a mother shed tears for her son shot and killed by Wright.
I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
Wright addressed the court showing no remorse.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
That's all you got to say?
Yes.
The judge clearly fed up with the defendant's attitude.
On number 4, we have the story of Dante Wright, a young man whose actions shattered lives. A tragedy happened in the quiet college town of Ann Arbor, Michigan. On December 4th, 2016, 19-year-old Jordan Klee was gunned down in the parking lot of his apartment complex. The killer? Dante Wright was just 17 years old at the time.
R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
It's not accepted, a sentence agreement between the parties, because it's bargained for, sentenced by the parties. But watching you sit there, smile and laugh and shake your head like this was no big deal. We'll go to trial, and if you're convicted of felony murder, you'll go to prison for the rest of your life. That means you'll die there. That's what I'm tempted to do.
Of that fateful night began innocently enough. Klee, a popular student at Washtenaw Community College, was hanging out with friends. Wright and his accomplices, meanwhile, were wandering the area looking for easy targets to rob. Their paths crossed in the worst possible way. The details emerged as the case unfolded in the Washtenaw County trial court. Wright and his friends had approached Klee, demanding money. When Klee resisted, Wright pulled out a gun and fired, killing the young student in cold blood.
Think about his reaction during the statements that were made in the court that the judge seemed to be. What'd you think?
What upsetted me was I'm sorry for her loss, just as well as mine. My son was supposed to graduate this year too, and I mean it's just bad all the way around. So that's just how I feel.
Do you think he took this lightly? Do you think he took this seriously? How do you think he...
I don't feel like he understands exactly what's going on because of his mental conditions and things like that, and no one has even brought that up or said anything about it. So
when Klee's mother, Karen, poured out her heart in a victim impact statement, Wright's behavior shocked everyone. Instead of showing guilt, he sat there smiling, nearly laughing. His attitude infuriated Judge David S. Swartz, who didn't mince words when addressing the defendant.
I sincerely hope that whatever it was you wanted so badly that you felt the need to murder my son was worth the next at least 52 years of your continued existence. You won't get the luxury of raising your child.
Turn from viral fame to murder charges. Jennifer Mee first caught the public's attention in 2007 as the Hiccup Girl, a teenager from St. Petersburg, Florida, who suffered from persistent hiccups. Her quirky medical condition made her an overnight sensation, landing her on national TV shows and earning her widespread sympathy. But the spotlight faded, and Jennifer's life spiraled unexpectedly.
Me, remarkably similar to the teenager we first met in 2007.
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
We were there when she landed at TIA after a whirlwind TV tour. 5 weeks of hiccuping had made the 15-year-old a sensation.
What happened to that sweet 15-year-old girl that we first met?
I couldn't even tell you. I got cased up with the wrong crowd of people, really. Unfortunately, when I started experimenting with drugs, I just felt like I was invincible to everything.
Most notorious, moving in with LaRon Rayford.
Fast forward to October 2010, when Jennifer, then 19, became entangled in a sinister plot. She lured Shannon Griffin, a 22-year-old man, to a vacant house under the cover of selling him marijuana. However, it was all a scam. Jennifer's boyfriend, Lamont Newton, and their friend Laren Rayford were lying in wait. Their plan was simple, yet brutal. Rob Griffin of the $60 he had on him.
High from a combination of ecstasy, marijuana, and cocaine. She claims her roommates encouraged her to lure a man she met online, Shannon Griffin, to a dark alley so they could rob him.
Things quickly went wrong. A struggle followed, and Griffin was shot multiple times. The young man who had come hoping to buy some weed lost his life over a little sum. Jennifer, Lamont, and Laren fled the scene, leaving behind a crime that would soon catch up with them.
As charged.
A Pinellas County jury convicted Jennifer of murder. Her own words on a recorded call to her mother, sealing her fate.
Because I set everything up. It was hoping that she would rescue me.
Petersburg police to crack the plot. All 3 suspects were arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The case in the Pinellas County Courthouse captivated the public, not least because of Jennifer's previous brush with fame.
One state you don't want to be is in Florida.
M. William Phelps, a true crime novelist and New York Times bestseller, became fascinated with how a media darling became a convicted killer.
She does not belong in prison for the rest of her life.
Via Skype, he tells me his book about Jennifer, One Breath Away, set to hit stands in February, will astound.
During the trial, prosecutor Jan Olney painted a picture of Jennifer as the mastermind who set the deadly plan in motion. Defense attorney John Trevina argued that Jennifer, diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome and schizophrenia, was a vulnerable young woman manipulated by her co-defendants.
Be the jury finds as follows: the defendant in this case, the defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged. So say we all.
He broke down right as that verdict was read. She was obviously hoping that the jury would convict her on a lesser charge, perhaps accessory to murder or manslaughter. Now, though, she'll spend the rest of her life behind bars for the murder of Shannon Griffin. Now, prosecutors told jurors today that even though Mee did not pull that trigger 3 years ago, she ultimately orchestrated Griffin's death and lured him to that robbery gone wrong. Tonight, I did speak with Griffin's mother, and she said that no matter what this verdict was going to be tonight, it will never bring back her son.
Judge Nancy Moat-Lay presided over the proceedings. The courtroom droned with tension as witnesses took the stand. Evidence was presented, and Jennifer's troubled past came to light. Gone was the quirky teen with the hiccups. In her place sat a young woman facing the possibility of life behind bars.
They're accused of luring, robbing, and killing Shannon Griffin back in October of 2010.
As the trial progressed, Jennifer fell from media darling to murder suspect. The jury listened intently, weighing the evidence and trying to negotiate the image of the hiccup girl with the severe charges before them. Thanks for watching. We've seen some intense courtroom moments as these young offenders face the consequences of their actions. Remember, every choice has an impact. Stay safe, make good decisions, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe.